everyone to Texas A&M's Virtual Earth Month. Really happy to have you here with us today, joining us today for this presentation. Before we get started, I just want to go over a couple of logistics. So for you to have the best experience with this presentation, what we'd recommend is that you go into your toolbar, change your view mode to side by side. You have the opportunity to put that as presenter where you'd only see the person speaking, or a gallery where you could see other folks on the side. But if you do that, it won't affect the way that you see the PowerPoint on the screen. You'll see the whole PowerPoint plus our speakers. Also, I've turned on the live transcript. So if you prefer to watch with subtitles, you have that opportunity. You just go into your toolbar where you can turn that feature on or off. And also, we will be holding a discussion at the end of this presentation. And if you'd like to have some of your questions answered, please drop those in the chat. And at the time of the discussion, you could always pop yourself on the screen and ask some questions verbally as well. But the more questions you ask, the better this is going to be. So we're really excited to learn more about sustainable transportation at Texas A&M. Two of the interns in the Office of Sustainability, Manasa and Jamie, are here with us today, and they're going to lead that talk. We also have a guest from Transportation Services. Jeff Puckett is here as well, so we'll get to hear from him. So hopefully that's what you're here for. But you also might be incentivized by the fact that we have some really cool prizes that we're going to be giving away. So I just want to quickly tell you how you go about getting those prizes. So first, you're going to earn points towards our giveaway items by collecting code words during these live virtual events. And one code word will equal 1 point, and every point can be used as an entry into our random draw giveaway. So what that means is the more points you collect, the more code words you collect, the more entries you get into the drawing, the more chances you have to win some awesome prizes. And the code words will be written on a PowerPoint slide. They will be spoken by one of the presenters, or they will be dropped in the chat. So pay attention to all of those modes to get your code words. And what you need to do is just keep track of them all. Every virtual event you attend, you can grab a code word. Once you've completed everything that you want to complete, on April 23rd, all of this ends. You actually can also watch recordings up until April 30th and still collect points. But what you need to do is send those all in just one email to sustainability@tamu.edu at the conclusion of Virtual Earth Month. And then you can earn up to 7 points when you watch live. You can only earn 1 if you watch the recording, but you can earn up to 7 when you watch live. And this is really cool too. So the School of Innovation has something called Maroon Base, and they have events all throughout campus, not just Virtual Earth Month. But for all the Virtual Earth Month that you attend, you can actually earn points from Maroon Base that you can redeem for cash prizes. You can earn up to $2,000 in Maroon Base. So just another awesome opportunity. And we have all the details and the rules here. You can go to this webpage and check out all of the details and the rules. And you can also just go to our website, sustainability@tamu.edu. And then the last thing, I just wanted to tell you what the prizes are. You can win a Nintendo Switch, a legit Nintendo Switch. You can win fitness watches. You can win an Apple Watch, a Samsung Galaxy, or a Fitbit Versa. You can win different wireless headphones. You can win Yeti coolers. You can win a GoPro Hero 7. And then finally, we have some awesome t-shirts and water bottles that you can also win. Those are a little bit easier to acquire those. Those are earned through what you attend, not by a giveaway drawing. And all of these prizes, you see the Nintendo Switch is a grand prize, but the rest you actually have a choice. If you're one of the winners, you can choose which prize you win and which version of an AirPod or headphone that you would get. So that's what I wanted to talk about today. So now that you know how Virtual Earth Month works, I'm going to hand it over to Jamie and Manasa, and they're going to take it away whenever they're ready.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Ben. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. All right. Howdy, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today. My name is Jamie Loasby. I am a senior business major, and I'm joined here with Manasa. If you want to go ahead and introduce yourself.
Hi, everyone. My name is Manasa, and I'm a junior environmental studies major.
We are both interns here at the Office of Sustainability, and today we're going to talk to you about sustainable transportation and what that looks like on and off campus, along with what you can do to be more sustainable as well.
First, let's begin with what sustainable transportation is and why it's important. Sustainable transportation means taking into consideration the effects of your mode of travel on the environment and the climate. This can be done in a multitude of ways. By opting to walk or ride your bike short distances, buying electric vehicles when in the market, taking public transportation, and carpooling, you can do your part. Furthermore, sustainable transportation has 3 key implications. First, in quality of life. By choosing to be more sustainable, you can have increased health benefits, reduction in noise pollution, and overall less traffic due to the reduction of the cars on the road. Second, environmental benefits. With less individual cars on the road, less emissions are put into the environment, reducing the impact of climate change in the long term. Third, economic impacts. In regards to sustainable transportation, it can reduce individual costs such as gas, purchasing a car, and car maintenance. The overall economy can be improved because it requires investment into infrastructure. It's clear to see that sustainable transportation has a huge positive impact in all facets of our life. Now, we have a quick question for you. Please put your answers in the chat. True or false, transportation emits the most greenhouse gases in comparison to industry, agriculture, commercial, and residential sectors? Okay, so the answer for that one is actually true.
There we go. Okay, perfect. So now that you know a little bit about what sustainable and eco-friendly transportation looks like, I'm going to talk to you about how that can be applied to a college campus. Something very interesting about colleges is that they are essentially smaller and more controlled versions of cities and societies. Because of this, they are often used to test out new transportation technology before it's implemented on a larger scale. So if a university was to be as sustainable as they possibly could, here are the main things that they should have. The first is easy access to electric vehicle rideshare. This would be both for students, faculty, staff, and something that you need if you have electric vehicles are charging stations throughout campus. This wouldn't only be for the rideshare, but also for commuters and the buses. Safe walking paths are essential. It's also very important that they are accessible to everyone, no matter where they need to go. And bike accessibility is another big thing. You'll hear a lot more about bikes later, but that includes bike lanes, bike racks, bike shares, and repair centers. A fun fact is that 10 to 12 bikes can fit into one parking space. So if you can imagine, that would very heavily reduce traffic on the road. An efficient public transportation system is also very important. Manasa will go a bit into that as well. Electric buses are preferable over diesel, and biofuels are a great option as well. These are just some of the main options a campus or community can have, but obviously there's a lot more technology out there worth exploring. For example, there's a technology emerging where streets have a panel installed in the ground, and the force of people stepping on that panel generates energy as they walk. So here's a quick question for you guys. Feel free to drop your true or false answer in the chat. Americans collectively drove 1 trillion miles in 2017, the most of any year since record keeping began in 1980. Please drop your answers in the chat. Got lots of trues. Okay, so shocker, you're all wrong. It's actually 3 trillion. So times that times 3. So that just kind of goes to show that the commute that people are making is not slowing down at all. So sustainable transportation is definitely something worth investing in.
So Jamie covered how we can have an ideal sustainable campus, but there are things that college campuses can avoid while moving more towards being sustainable. First, carpooling. Although carpooling does get cars off the road, it should not be the primary way campuses establish sustainable transportation. Carpooling is not an effective strategy because it's not enforceable, therefore people aren't incentivized to do it. Furthermore, light and medium duty vehicles contribute the most greenhouse gases in comparison to heavy duty trucks, planes, ships, and trains. Second, diesel buses should be avoided. Although buses reduce the amount of students driving on campus, it should not be a preferable method in comparison to sustainable methods such as an electric bus fleet. Electric buses do pose a higher upfront cost, but in the long term, it would be better for college campuses and contribute much less carbon dioxide emissions in comparison to its diesel counterpart. In fact, electric bus fleets get 16.5 miles per gallon, while a diesel fleet gets 3.8 miles per gallon. Third, low parking prices. At first, I know that sounds like a crazy take, which, trust me, as a broke college student, I definitely get. But by having cheap parking prices on campus, the university essentially subsidizes the cost of driving and encourages more students to take their cars. If parking prices are at a higher rate, students are motivated to find alternative forms of transportation. It can be seen with a pyramid that there's always a better option available. And by avoiding these things and looking for those alternate solutions, colleges can continue to improve.
All right, so I'm actually going to start out with a question before I go into my slide more. Put it in the chat once again, true or false, transportation planning has no impact on the general health of citizens. I see a lot of falses. I see a true. All right, so a majority of you got that right. Let's see, switch side. Transportation actually has very real implications on health. Sustainable transportation is not just good for the environment, but also for our physical and mental health. Studies show that people who use active transportation, such as walking, biking, and other forms that have no emission, overall have better heart health, flexibility, and lower systolic blood pressure compared to non-active commuters. On top of that, biking has zero emissions, so less pollution in the air will reduce the risk for strokes, heart attacks, lung infections, and asthma. You can see here some of the benefits of cycling in particular. It helps your mind, your heart, your joints, and improves lower body strength. In addition to this, mental health is also a huge factor here. Walking and biking can help reduce stressors such as road rage, bad traffic, and bad weather. Public transportation can even allow you to get work done that you would be spending the time normally driving. You can take that time to meditate, read, get extra work done, or whatever else you might need to do.
So as a student at Texas A&M, there are ways for you to do your part. First, look into a micromobility option. So micromobility can be classified as transportation such as bicycles and scooters. Our wonderful guest speaker will cover more on that later. So VO rides are a great option to get around campus. And furthermore, TAMU recently unveiled the VO scooters that can get you where you need to be. Second, walk when possible. Although Texas weather is unpredictable, walking all over campus is very possible. Oftentimes, they can even function as a very much needed break between classes and studying. Third, you can join an organization focused on sustainability and can make active change with your fellow members. Fourth, student senators exist to help take what the students want and translate that to the university. By making your sustainable needs heard, you have the chance to affect positive change. And finally, use your university-sanctioned public transportation. As a student, you're paying for the service through your fees and tuition, so take advantage of it as much as possible. And we have one last question for you guys.
Also, micromobility is our code word for today. So if you guys are participating in the prizes, go ahead and jot that down.
So our final question is, true or false, the global transport sector is a major polluter and was responsible for approximately 8 billion metric tons of carbon dioxide emissions in 2018. So I see a lot of trues on here. The answer is true.
All right, so this graphic here is from the United Nations. They have a list of 17 different sustainable development goals for our planet. Today in this presentation, we've been focusing on sustainable goal number 11, which is to make cities and human settlements more inclusive, safe, resilient, and sustainable. As you can see here, only half of the world's urban population actually has convenient access to public transportation. That's definitely something we need to keep in mind as we continue to develop our sustainable transportation is access, making sure that everybody has access to public transportation. Here you can see air pollution caused 4.2 million premature deaths in 2016. Using transportation that has less emissions, such as what we've been talking about, biking, using electric cars, and public transportation, can literally save lives. So, like I said, definitely worth something investing in. All right, and now we're going to move over to Jeff Puckett. He's joined us here today from Transportation Services. He is the Program Coordinator for Sustainable Transportation. He's going to be talking to us about micromobility and what that looks like here at Texas A&M.
Awesome, thank you guys so much. Everyone throw up a clap emoji at the very least. That was an amazing presentation, y'all. So let me get my screenshot set up, but I want to be PowerPoint. All right. Just want to confirm, can you guys see my screen? And I also can't see you, so I need some verbal confirmation.
We cannot see it yet.
Cannot, okay, let's see. Share that one, there we go.
Oh, you should be good now.
Awesome. Thank you much. All right, cool. So, yes. Hello, everyone. My name is Jeff Puckett. I am the Sustainable Transportation Program Coordinator for Texas A&M, which is a very long title. I'm in charge of bikes. But we do a lot more here. So today I kind of wanted to talk about what shared micromobility is on campus here at Texas A&M. So first, and they did a great job kind of introducing the terminology micromobility, but just to kind of cover it one more time, micromobility basically refers to all small, lightweight vehicles that typically run below 20 miles per hour and are driven by the user. This includes bicycles, e-bikes, electric scooters, electric skateboards, et cetera, et cetera. There's a lot of different variations that can fall within this category. And then, of course, shared micromobility refers to any small or human electric powered vehicle that is being used as a shared resource between multiple users. We hear the word share a lot these days. This would include like the Bird, the Lime scooters that we see, but not like Uber and Lyft. That's more like ride sharing, not micromobility sharing. So let's see, there we go. So why do we want shared micromobility at Texas A&M? So pre-COVID, I'll say a lot of this is based on pre-COVID stuff. We have about 10,000 bikes actively being used on campus at any given time. Of that 10,000, unfortunately, about 1,300 to 1,500 bikes are abandoned annually every year on campus. And what's worse is only about 10% are actually recovered by the user. That means 90% of the bikes that are abandoned on campus either end up being auctioned off, but more than likely being sold either for scrap or ending up in a landfill or recycling center. This is a major issue that the university has been trying to tackle for quite some time. And one of the new solutions, I say new, but one of the newer approaches is through shared micromobility. So the history of micromobility for Texas A&M specifically, before pretty much everyone's time, I assume, we had maroon bikes on campus. They were, I guess the best way to put it, like an analog version of bike share, very rudimentary, no digital connection, no smartphones being used or anything like that. You basically signed up for a monthly membership that gave you access to a panel that had a bunch of keys inside of it next to a bike rack. You could unlock the bike. There were about 100 bikes on campus when the program was operational. But a downside of it was that you could only check the bike out and drop off the bike in one location. So if I picked up a bike at the Commons, I had to finish the ride at the Commons as well. So it was a very limited program. Then the next program that we had on campus was Zagster. Zagster was the first like technologically smarter version of bike share that we had on campus. But it was a very limited bike share. As you can see, we only had 75 bicycles, but a big standout difference was that you could control access to the bicycle through an app. You just downloaded the app, all payments were handled through that. You could pay by the ride, you could pay a monthly subscription, annual subscription, and you had the ability to, unlike maroon bikes, you could check the bike out at one station and drop it off at another station. Downside of the program, though, was that there were only about 12 stations on campus, and you could not park the bike at any bike rack on campus. It had to be at the specific Zagster stations. Also, the reason there were only 75 bikes was because it was an extremely expensive program to run at Texas A&M. Typically, Zagster charged universities anywhere between $1,000 to $1,500 a year per bicycle. So you could see that would get very expensive as we tried to grow the program. It was all inclusive as they advertised it. So, you know, the university had no responsibility for maintaining the bikes, rebalancing the bikes, or making sure they were in use. We paid a pretty price for that. Then came the OFO, the meme machine itself. It was quite a change, huge shift. It was the first bike share program that most of y'all have even probably heard of here at Texas A&M. It was hard not to see it if you were here in 2018, 2019. This model it was called the dockless bike share system. It was the first time that all technology had moved just to the bicycle and to your phone. OFO also provided something that no other vendor had ever tried to do before, which was they came to universities saying, we're not going to charge you anything to operate this system on your campus. In fact, we're going to do a profit share, meaning we will give you some money to allow us to operate on your campus. In theory, sounds amazing, and we were excited. We accepted 2,500 bicycles on campus, and it was, again, if you guys were here in 2018 and 2019, we'll say messy. There were quite a lot of issues. Some were, you know, failures on my department's fault. Some were failures from the students, and a big majority of them were, unfortunately, OFO was not a great steward of their own system. This system just asked politely that you park your bike in the bike racks, but there was no verification or enforcement involved. And because of this, as you can see in the photos, bikes ended up in some pretty interesting places. Unfortunately, did not last very long. Then the transition happened. We had, as far as A&M students were concerned, when we went from VO-Ride to OFO, most people just thought it was a OFO 2.0. But in reality, there were some major differences between VO-Ride and OFO. First and biggest one being that VO-Ride was a phenomenal steward of the system. They invested heavily in hiring locally to make sure that they had people available to help move bikes around. As you can see, the university truck with the trailer full of bikes is not an uncommon thing to see on campus during non-COVID times. Bikes are moving all over the place. As it stands presently right now, we also have, the VO-Ride has also introduced more vehicles like the Cosmo, the electric scooter, electric sit-down throttle assist bicycle. We don't say scooters in this school. And then we also have the electric e-bikes here as well. Now, that's not to say there weren't growing pains with VO-Ride. Obviously, we had a lot to figure out to make this system work better on campus. And one of the best things that came from VO-Ride, and it was very simple. It was just a little orange cable. We took a free flow bike share system to a lock-to free flow bike share system, basically meaning that if you wanted access to the bicycle, you had to lock the bike to the bike rack when your ride was done. And it's simply just threading that orange cable through the rack, ensured that bikes ended up at bike racks and not in front of, a wheelchair ramp or in the road, blocking a sidewalk, something like that. And I recently reached out to VRide to get some updated figures, and these are some pretty cool numbers I thought you guys would enjoy. There's been 850,000 rides given so far since VRide got here. We're probably going to hit that million marker sometime this summer, which is really exciting. 43,000 registered users, 170,000 miles ridden. And I don't know how much you guys buy the statistic of calories burnt, but 9.6 million is a huge number and kind of cool just to say. Now, before COVID, and I have been mentioning a lot, during COVID, post-COVID, during COVID. So I reached out to our transit system just to kind of get some numbers, some comparable numbers between VRide and just say our transit system, the Aggie Spirit. As you can see, at the beginning of the fall semester, VRide usually gets around 10,000 rides per day, which is substantial, considering that all of our buses do about 50,000 rides per day during the fall semester. Obviously, thanks to COVID, things changed, as it did with pretty much everyone. The ridership went down, but it matched transit ridership, which was, I thought, pretty interesting, given how few students were actually on campus. We were still seeing the bikes being ridden. And in fact, in a lot of surveys, we found that students who had existing memberships with VRide preferred taking the VRide over transit for, in the early days of COVID, we were still figuring things out about distancing and things like that. This is one of the preferred methods for a lot of students, staff, and faculty. And VRide made a lot of changes along the way as well. You can see the guy in the cowboy hat. They were actually going around cleaning the bikes. Before COVID, a VRide technician was required to touch every single VRide bike at least once a month. They reduced staff, but increased that number of touches to once a week for serious maintenance, serious cleaning. Was really proud of what they were able to accomplish during the beginning days of COVID. Now, one other thing I like to point out about micromobility as a solution is it's not the end-all be-all solution to mobility. It's one tool in a pack of solutions for transportation planners. But there was recently a situation where micromobility really empowered people when there were not a lot of other options available. And that was during the snowvid or snowpocalypse, whatever, oops, did I skip it? There it is. Whichever one you want to call it. During February 15th through the 21st, roads were shut down. Transit was not operating whatsoever. But during this time period, we were able to provide over 1,000 rides on the pedal bikes and over 1,500 rides on the Cosmos. And more importantly, during that time period, there were only 200 Cosmo scooters or sit-down bicycles on campus, meaning that those 200 devices serviced 1,400 rides. And that is, to me, really exciting to see. And it shows the value that, obviously, this is a unique situation, but it shows the value that micromobility can offer transportation planners, students, staff, and faculty. And so I don't want to talk too long, so I'll go ahead and wrap up there, open it up for questions if anyone has them. Again, my name is Jeff Puckett. I'm the program coordinator for sustainable transportation. I have the easiest email in the world to remember, bikes@tamu.edu. If you guys ever have any questions, feel free to reach out. And with that, I'll stop sharing.
Thank you so much, Jeff. The numbers you gave us really showed the impact that micromobility has at Texas A&M. It's very incredible what you guys are able to do. If we could get a little round of applause for Jeff as well in the chat, little virtual claps, incredible. We have a few more minutes to do a Q&A, so if you have any questions, please feel free to put it in the chat. If you have a question for Manasa and I or Jeff, either one, or you can unmute yourself.
I can say that the OFO, there was never an OFO that made it to the top of the academic building. Two VO rides did though, and that was in the slides.
Yeah, I always wondered how they managed to get up there. That was insane. I actually have a question for you, Jeff, if nobody else does. How do you think that in the next 5 to 10 years, sustainability and in regards to transportation and micromobility will continue to evolve at Texas A&M?
So there's a lot of exciting stuff to be expecting, and then I believe there's a lot of stuff that's going to emerge that we may not be expecting as much. One thing that you guys touched on your presentation, and something that is a big driving thing for me, is electrification of campus, specifically infrastructure that allows electric vehicles to charge on campus. We currently, if there's any SEC pride in here, we do have more electric vehicle charging stations than any other university in the SEC. So whoop. But in my opinion, we currently have 12, and there's absolutely room for growth there. Really exciting. We'll be unveiling 6 more stations in the Polo Road Garage very soon. But beyond just electrical vehicle charging, because if everyone switches from gas-powered vehicles to electric vehicles, there's still serious issues going on, because single occupancy vehicles, no matter the drivetrain, aren't the solution for everything. Going forward, I would expect to see our campus, and you can look up the campus master plan, kind of where we see things going. A lot of focus will be placed on looking at your pyramid. We actually have that pyramid in our master plan. As far as transportation is concerned, there will be a lot of focus on pedestrian first, then bicycles, then transit, all infrastructure focused on those things pretty much solely before we even consider infrastructure for vehicles, any kind of privately owned vehicles on campus. One interesting thing I've heard is that we only have, I say only, 30,000 parking spots on campus. That is a significant number of parking spots, in my opinion. But that number, no matter how big this university continues to grow, that number will never change. We will continue to keep that cap. And as we go forward, the move is to reduce the number of open lot parking lots that we have and increase the number of parking garages that we have on campus. This allows us to open up those parking lots for more green spaces, newer sustainable buildings that can be built on campus. The future is bright, I will say, for mobility here at Texas A&M.
Yeah, I just wanted to add real quick what Jeff was talking about with the parking garages is the idea is that they'll be built on the outside of like the campus, and then the inside will be much more pedestrian, bike friendly. So that's kind of really the overall idea of the master plan in terms of where we're moving. I also just wanted to quickly take this opportunity. I was going to do this at the very end, but since we're at the time of our presentation right now, I want to just quickly talk about what we have coming up next. So first, tomorrow, we have a sustainability master plan panel. So if you enjoyed learning about transportation at Texas A&M, you would probably also enjoy learning about some other units on campus. So residence life, university, dining, utilities and energy services, student success in our office. So that should be really interesting tomorrow at 11. And then I just wanted to let everyone know, Jamie and Manasa are currently interns in the Office of Sustainability. This is part of their work as an intern. And applications are open. If you want to join our team, they're open right now and they close on Friday. So go to our website to check out how to find out more. Sorry to interrupt the Q&A. If you want to go back to that, I just wanted to make sure I got this out before if anyone had to jump off since we're at 3:30. But yes, please go back to the Q&A.
Yeah, we're definitely at time. Oh, go ahead, Manasa. Sorry.
No, you're I was just gonna say that I had like one other question, I guess, if no one else has one. So how can like students advocate for sustainable transportation on campus? Like, is there any way that like students can like come and talk to you guys and like kind of like give their ideas and inputs?
So the short answer is yes. Like my door is always open. I mean, obviously COVID safety right now, but I get very excited when students actually are invested in sustainable transportation. You know, we have an on-campus bike shop that either myself or my student workers are running Monday through Friday. If you ever have any questions, want to ask in person, one of us is always there at the hub, small bike shop across the street from the main entrance of the Commons. Showing support to sustainable transportation involves being, for Texas A&M specifically, a big chunk of it is being good stewards of our system that we have here. You know, not only using the VO rides, but making sure that we aren't breaking our toys. You know, we want to make sure that they end up where they're supposed to be. And then like an odd request that I know will not be, we're not going to resolve now, but like let's end throwing bikes in trees. As a collective university, I just can't say how much that breaks the bicycles, hurts the trees. I know it's funny, but it's not a thing that is benefiting anyone truly, and it destroys bikes and trees. So, but honestly, showing excitement for the programs and asking as many questions as possible. Again, bikes@tamu.edu. I'm always available to talk on the phone or via email. But yeah, I'm always open to new ideas as well. So please bring them if you got them.
I had a question real quick, if that's okay, Ben. Sorry. I just wanted to know, do you have any form of like media, something visual that you could give out or send? Because I remember when I was a freshman, I tried to find out where like the bike shop was because I've had problems with my bike and they're still not fixed, so I don't use it anymore. Just like with the brakes not working, and I was never able to figure out where to go. And I feel like from what I've seen working with residence life, there's a lot of students who just kind of focus on using the little pumps around campus and otherwise they don't use anything else. And I think what you have would be like something that's really available to them that I didn't even realize it was a resource that they could use. So I was just wondering if there was a way to like spread the word about the fact that you have a very valuable resource to students.
Yeah, so I don't have anything printed off. We try to avoid as much printed off flyer marketing stuff as possible. All of our information is on our website, but it can be very hard to just say, go check out our website. I do speak, I don't speak, but I table at every single new student conference, virtually and in person. So that is usually how I get the word out, but you know, I don't have any marketing material that I can hand out, unfortunately, but I would definitely be open to working more with Residence Life to get the word out about the hub. Because yeah, no, I've had multiple seniors come by to work on their bike going, I didn't even know this place existed. So yeah, any way I can work with Res Life or other departments would be great.
Hey, Jeff, we have a question in the chat, and someone is under the impression that the abandoned bikes on campus are just thrown away instead of maybe being donated to like children or something. Is that the case, or is something else happening with the abandoned bikes?
So abandoned bikes on campus, we pick them up year round, but majority of them are recovered in the end of May after move out. All abandoned bikes picked up by campus are kept in the university impound for 90 days. If after 90 days, if they're not claimed by their owner, they are turned over to surplus properties. They basically, after 90 days, become state property. And from there, I have no longer control over them. Surplus properties is the same place that, you know, if a professor gets a new desk, if a grad student gets a new computer, their old Texas A&M property is sent to surplus properties where it is either auctioned off or sold for scraps. And that is what happens with all the bikes. I would like to have them donated, but unfortunately, 90 to 95% of the bikes that I impound are much closer to bike-shaped objects than actual bikes. No one abandons a high-end, nice, usable bicycle. People abandon the Walmart bike that they purchased before the beginning of the fall semester that was left in front of the dorms for 9 months. And now it costs more to repair than to actually than it was the original purchase price. So unfortunately, 95% of the bikes that we impound are just bike-shaped objects, not things that can be really given a second life. I'm actually writing my master's thesis on this about abandoned bikes. So if you guys have more questions about abandoned bikes and what should be done with them, I'm happy to talk about that.
And I don't believe that they just throw the bikes away, correct? I know they have a bike auction is it once a year, once a semester at Texas A&M, where you can get any of the abandoned bikes. And then Surplus does try to sell all the usable ones. And then, like you said, they donate the rest for parts, like scrap metal. So I don't think they're just being thrown in the garbage.
Correct. Yeah, the majority of the bikes. So there's two sales. The big sale happens in October. Once all the bikes that I picked up in May have hit their 90 days, any of those bikes that were unclaimed go to the big sale in October. I believe it's the second Wednesday of October. And basically all bikes in our impound, we take the fence down. All bikes in the impound are $30 a pop. Don't go there hoping to get your next new road bike. But if you are mechanically inclined, you can do what I did when I was an undergrad, buy like 5 bikes, combine them to make maybe 3, and then go from there. Outside of that, like I said, we are picking up abandoned bikes year round. If bikes hit that 90-day marker and we're too far away from the October sale, we turn them over to Surplus Properties, where they will almost monthly put on their website at lonestarauction.com, where they will auction off the bicycles. And if they're in a condition that is completely unusable, they will do bulk sales where they're selling like 10 to 15, 20, 30 bikes for say $100 a pop, where people that are buying them for their scrap metal purposes will come in and get them. But no, nothing is thrown away.
Great, thanks, Jeff. And then someone else had a comment in the chat. They just wanted to say that if there was something that they could put on the TVs in their office that would scroll with campus information about the bike program, that would also be beneficial. And then this is another question in the chat. Do the bike repair stations have QR codes to the website? I can't remember if I've ever seen it, but that might be an easy way for people to access the info without printing.
Okay, so yes. And yes, there are QR codes there. Unfortunately, they currently route to the manufacturer's website, which is great because it shows you how to use the devices, but it doesn't link to Texas A&M specifically. That's actually one of my summer projects, is that we'll be replacing the QR codes with links to our website, as well as I'm going to be doing a whole YouTube video series on different simple repairs that you can do on your bike. So if you go up there to try and use the pump, turn an Allen wrench, whatever it may be, there'll be a library there available to you. So that will be something that it will be implementing this summer, which is really exciting.
And they responded and they said that sounds awesome. So it looks like it's a good plan.
Sick.
All right. I don't see any other questions in the chat. Jamie and Manasa, is there anything else that you wanted to wrap up with?
Just thank you so much, Jeff, for joining us. Really appreciate your knowledge.
Absolutely. Thank you guys so much for having me. This is like my favorite thing in the world to talk about. So I'm glad I had an audience instead of just ranting at my screen about it.
Well, you got to rant at your screen, but we were watching. So
yeah, you guys were there with me. Usually it's just me pounding at a keyboard.
Someone else was saying thanks. They learned a lot of positive comments. So thanks for your time, Jeff, Manasa, and Jamie. Great job. Thanks for everyone for joining us. And again, we hope to see you tomorrow at 11 for our Sustainability Master Plan panel. So everyone take care.
Thanks, y'all.